Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Completionist. For this episode, guys, I think it's kind of fitting, since it's the first day of the new year. But I've actually finished another collecting goal of mine. This is the third video I've done in a series. And if anyone's aware, everybody pretty much knows what my video game collecting goals are. My video game collecting goals is to collect all the anime style games that were lucky enough to have a North American release for each console. Now, I've kind of modified my collection goals a bit because this year I decided not to collect for the 8-bit to 16-bit systems anymore, and I decided to sell off my video game collections for my Super Nintendo and my TurboGrafx 16. But I also won't be collecting for the Sega Genesis or the Sega Master System as well, and even the Nintendo Entertainment System, because the games for that system are just getting way too hard and just so way too expensive to find. So I just decided to limit my video game collecting to just disc-based games, and the only cartridge-based games I even collect is for the N64 and the Game Boy Advance. So the video game collection guys, that I have finished is that I have officially finished my North American anime-style game collection for the Sega CD. Now, when I decided to start collecting for video games, I wanted to kind of go after the obscure systems first because I finished collecting for the Sega Saturn and the Panasonic 3DO. So the moment that I finished collecting for the Saturn back in 2010, I decided to move to the Sega CD. But as you can imagine, Sega CD games can be very hard to find, and it is a very high demand system. A lot of collectors are after the games for that system, so a lot of them were very hard and very expensive to get. So I spent about 3.5 years trying to finish this collection. Now, with regards to my history with the Sega CD, it was released in North America in 1992, but it was simply one of those systems that I knew had existed, but I just never ever had the chance to play. I can't even think of any friends or anybody in my neighborhood that even had one. Back in 1992, the only systems that I owned at the time was like a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo, and there was no way that my parents were going to get me a technically an add-on, for a Sega Genesis just to play a bunch of games for it, because the Sega CD does have a very small gaming library. But it's always been a system that I've always been interested in playing, because I used to go through a lot of video game magazines, Game Fan and some other publications, and I used to see these beautiful JRPGs for that system that I always wanted to play, but unfortunately I just couldn't get a Sega CD, and I don't think my parents could afford it, and wasn't something that I really needed anyway. I think back at that time, I think a Sega CD was considered more of a luxury than like an actual necessary video game system. So guys, what I wanted to do for this video is I just wanted to show you what the anime style games are for the Sega CD, especially if there are other people who are interested in knowing what JRPGs and what anime style games are available for this system. Now, I went through the entire Sega CD library, and through my research I discovered there are a total of 24 games that I consider anime style for that system. So I just wanted to share with you, what those games are. And if you ever come across them, and if you do enjoy the genres as much as I do, I highly recommend that you pick them up. But like most of the obscure systems and the games that come with these obscure systems, especially since video game collecting is at its high point right now, it's just unfortunate that a lot of these games are hard to find and very expensive. That's why it took me so long to finish this collection. So anyway, guys, let's get started. I just need to push the chair here a little closer so I got somewhere to leave them. So starting on the far right, we have a side-scrolling shoot 'em up called Android Assault: The Revenge of Baryon. We have the sequel for a much beloved RPG series that was that first came out for the Sega CD, and that is Lunar 2: Eternal Blue. We have a fighting game that's seen its share of ports on other video game systems, and that's Fatal Fury Special. And we have a game I've always wanted to try out for the longest time. Mike Maverick did a really good in-depth review on this game, and I actually can't wait to try it, you know, once I get home on a more full-time basis. And that's Pop Full Mail Magical Fantasy Adventure. Alright guys, on the next row, we have another entry from a critically acclaimed RPG series that was on Sega for the longest time, and that's Shining Force CD. And the next game we have, guys, is literally what a lot of video game collectors consider, you know, like the most high demand game, you know, for the Sega CD. A lot of people are after it. In all honesty, I think more people treat this game as a status symbol, but I think this side-scrolling shoot-'em-up is really enjoyable, and I'm willing to give it an honest try. I'm not gonna wrap it up in no plastic case because you know, I bought these games to actually play them. And the game that I'm talking about is Kyo's Flying Squadron. Unfortunately, it is the most expensive game to actually collect for the Sega CD. And when I bought this a couple of years ago, I got involved in a very nasty eBay bidding war between another person to actually get this title. The next game we have, guys, is Dark Wizard. One of my friends from my gaming forum has a lot of really great praise for this game. And here we have the original game in this series for the first time coming out in North America, and that is Lunar: The Silver Star. The next row of games, guys, we have Revengers of Vengeance, and an anime-style fighting game from what it looks like. Never even heard of this game until I actually did research for that system. The next game I have, guys, it's a game that a lot of people consider, you know, the best in the series. You know, I have never seen anybody say one bad thing about this game, and they actually consider this game one of the strongest entries for this very popular video game franchise, and that's Sonic CD. The next game we have is a vertical shoot-'em-up known as Robo Aleste. Next game we have, guys, is a game that one of my best friends actually played, and he had a lot of great praise for the game. He actually really enjoyed it, even though he said it's really grind heavy, and that's Vey. And the next game we have, guys, is a game that's seen its share of ports and reiterations on a variety of different consoles, and that's Samurai Showdown. Next game we have, guys, is another vertical shoot-'em-up known as Sylphid. I've heard a lot of people say this is actually a pretty solid shoot-'em-up. And the next game we have, guys, is a really good side-scrolling shoot-'em-up from what a lot of people told me, and that's Lords of Thunder. The next game we have, guys, is another game that, you know, a lot of collectors are after. It's a game I really wish had more exposure, you know, in North America. You know, it's kind of unfortunate that the only English version of this game only came out for the Sega CD, because I think this game really established itself as a game that really defined its genre. Um, one of the most popular gaming genres that have really taken off with regards to anime style games, in the last 4 to 5 years, is are the visual novels. Now I know the visual novels in Japan have been around for a very long time, but it's only recently that some of them have made their way into North America. And I actually consider this one of the first Japanese style visual novels, even though it does have some light gun elements to it as well. And it's a game that a lot of video game collectors want to own. And there's just a really great legacy with this game in itself, and it comes from basically video game royalty, which is Hideo Kojima, and that game is Snatcher. This is a game that I really want to play because I have heard no one say one bad thing about this game. Anyone who's ever played this game has had nothing but praise for it. So it's actually something I want to give a try, especially since I'm a big fan of the Blade Runner movie, and people tell me that this is a really good game as well. So the next game we have, guys, is a game I've heard Big Mike from Chargeback Forward talk a lot of great things about, but I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this game on YouTube, and that's the Space Adventure. Really reminds me of that really early 80s to late 1980s anime style, so I can't wait to give that game a try. And one of the most unfortunate things about the Sega CD is usually when a lot of people think of the Sega CD, they always make fun of those full motion video games that used to come out, and they didn't have really great gameplay mechanics. It was only a matter just pressing certain buttons or pressing an arrow, and it was just like literally just watching a show or watching an episode and just pressing the scatter button. But I don't know, I have a bit of nostalgia for games like that, because you have to understand that the Sega CD, for a lot of people, it was probably everybody's first exposure to a video game that actually had full motion video in it. And even though these games may not have a lot of replayability, a lot of them I actually never had the opportunity to try. So I would actually like to see how good some of them really are, or how cheesy or fun they are. And the first one I got is Revenge of the Ninja. So that takes care of the jewel case games, guys. The next set of games now are the box, the Sega CD games. Now, some of these were actually really hard to find. A lot of these box Sega CD games, it's really hard to find them complete. A lot of people didn't keep the boxes, in really good condition. One of these games was actually was one of them that took me a really long time to find. It took me about 18 months before I could find a half decent copy of it for a good price. But the first game I have here, guys, is a game that's not really in a box or a jewel case. As far as I know, it's only in this little slipcover case thing, and that's Soul Feast. I know Saraxor from Bullet Heaven has done a review on this, and even though it's not the best shoot 'em up out there, it's painfully average at best, but it does have a few redeeming factors about it. And the next game we have, guys, is this is the game that literally took me the longest to find. Every time I used to search for this game on eBay, it was just way too incredibly overpriced, or it was just loose. But after a little bit of patience and just checking eBay once a month, I finally came across a copy, and that game is Road Adventure. The next anime style game we have here, guys, is another full motion video game known as Time Gal. This one wasn't as hard to find as Road Avenger, but it still took me a while to actually find one in half decent condition. The next game we have, guys, is it's probably the best version of this game. It's a Testified Arcade Classic. and from what a lot of people tell me, it is the best version of this game to actually play on a home console, and that's Final Fight CD. So the next game we have, guys, this game wasn't originally on my list, but you know, I just watched some gameplay of it, and I actually discovered it is an anime style game, and that's Prince of Persia on the Sega CD. Now, the gameplay in itself is not anime style, but when I watched some footage of this game, the cutscenes in this game are anime style, so I had to add this one to my list. And the final game we have, guys, is Cobra Command. And that is a total of 24 games for the Sega CD. And I consider my collecting days for the Sega CD finished. Now, guys, if there are any other Sega CD titles that were released in North America that you consider anime style, let me know. The Sega CD in itself had a very small library, so I would like to think that my research on the system was very extensive, but if it's anything that I've learned when I've done these videos for the Sega Saturn and the Panasonic 3DO is that it seems like I always miss out on one or two of them, so if you feel that I have missed out on anything that is considered anime style, please let me know. But for now, I consider my collecting days for this system finished, and I have no interest in collecting any other Sega CD titles at this current point in time. So, guys, like I do, you know, at the end of all these videos, I'm gonna let you guys pick which Sega CD game I'm actually the most excited to play the most. And the three games that I have here is Vey, Pop Full Mail, and Snatcher. So I'll give you a moment. Which game do you think I would like to play first when I actually get home on a more full-time basis so I can actually play this system a little more often? Surprisingly, it's not Vey. My best friend really sold me on it, though. He said it's a really enjoyable JRPG, even though it does get a little grind heavy. As much as I love Kojima, and as much as this game is a classic to the people that have had an opportunity to play it, and I will get around to this, and I feel pretty confident I will enjoy this game as much as everybody else, it's surprisingly not Snatcher. It's Pop Full Mail, actually. I think one of the reasons why I want to play Pop Full Mail the most is there's just something comical and very appealing about it. You know, it does look like a very cute, very cutesy, very comedy-driven platformer, but that's just one of the hidden appeals with that game. You know, when I watched Mike Maverick's review on it, you know, it really sold it to me that I really wanted to play this game first, because it just seems to be so simple but yet so enjoyable. So, you know, when I actually get home on a full-time basis, this is the game that I actually want to try out first the most. So, guys, unfortunately, you know, if you do want to collect for the Sega CD, you know, it is one of the more expensive systems to actually collect for. You know, a lot of the working designs, a lot of the JRPGs consistently go for like anywhere between $80 to $150 with Snatcher and, you know, Kyo's Flying Squadron costing like several hundred. So, you know, if you do want to add these games, you know, to your collection, you know, I sincerely hope, you know, you can find them for a cheap price. If you can't, then you might have to save your money and you know, go to a video game convention, because the prices some of these games are going for on eBay are absolutely ludicrous. But like I said, I wanted to collect for the more obscure systems first, to like basically try to get them out of the way. When I first started collecting for the Sega CD back in 2010, I actually went after the more high demand titles first before the prices got too ridiculous. So anyway, guys, that is my third system in which my collecting goal has been finished. So which system am I going to move towards next? Well, I'm actually going to one system is actually almost done, which is my North American anime-style Dreamcast collection. I'm only one game away from finishing that collection, so hopefully you'll see that video sometime in August. But the next system I'll probably work on will probably be either the PSP, which I consider that system to have one of the strongest JRPG libraries out of all systems available, and that's both console and portable. I consider the PSP to be a spiritual successor, to the PS1 and the amount of quality JRPG content that system had. And the other system I plan on collecting for and working on as well is the Nintendo GameCube. I think there's about 60 to 70 anime-style games for that system, and I don't really have a lot of GameCube titles, but I already have some of the high-demand titles already taken care of, like Tales of Symphonia and Skies of Arcadia Legends, Ikaruga, stuff like that. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. So that's another system completely finished and good to go. So as always, guys, take care, and I wish you nothing but the best. Later.